All right, hey guys, what's going on? Needs more drums back in Rusinskiy for another episode of our Journey to 100,000 population series. In today's episode, we're going to finish up this area over here. So I just want to get this kind of done, and then we can just be, we could take a step away from this city for a while and focus on some other things around the region. So a couple of things that I want to start with. So first, I want to, I'm going to wait till later in the episode to do that. I want to take a second and readjust some of the tram networks, but I kind of want to let them, play out a little bit more, see just how many people are using them, so we can have a better idea of the capacity that we need going forward. So we'll let that play throughout the episode, and then at the end we'll come back and kind of check on those. We set those last episode, so just waiting for those to kind of kick in a little bit. But in terms of what I want to build today, I want to, like I said, finish out this area. Right here is going to be a pedestrian area for a change. I just thought it would be a cool way to kind of, add something a little bit unique to this part of the city. And it is awfully close to this office park, which I thought was a better reason to put it here. And I know this whole city is pretty close to this oil industry, but, that's just kind of how it is in, some of these Soviet areas. The industry is like right on top of some of the other buildings. So, we won't put too much housing probably right here. We might make this more of a commercial district and add some kind of city service, like we have a hospital here, but maybe like a clinic and some police and fire. I think we have a fire station right here already, but schools close by over here, something like that. But we'll do something to kind of bridge the gap between the residential and the very dense industry that's over here. So we'll do that. Here, don't know what's going to go here yet. Probably just some more residential. Maybe some light industry, like just some warehouses and things. Nothing super dirty or no big smokestack or anything like that. Just maybe some factory halls, kind of like this or something. And then here, this is probably just going to be all residential. I'm going to do a little bit of changes to these roads here. I'm probably gonna make them similar to this over here. I kind of like this separated, kind of one-way avenues. I kind of like that look in this region. So I think I might do something like that over here, and then have some big roundabout here. As you can see, there's a lot of traffic coming in this area. And honestly, what I could do as well is actually turn this into a highway. That might actually be a really smart move, given how all of this is looking right here. It might need it, honestly. And we have this here, and we can adjust all of this stuff as needed. But I think going forward, having this turned into a highway might be a great idea, rather than having a bunch of roundabouts and things. Maybe we can just have some highway exits. So something to think about, and I'll focus on that a little bit later. But I want to get started with the build first, and then I don't know, the surrounding area. I'm thinking about just kind of leaving it as some farmland. I've done a lot of kind of searching on Google Earth, in these types of areas where I'm taking influence from, like Eastern Europe and stuff, and old parts of Russia and everything. And there's a lot. There's not much suburban sprawl. It pretty much goes right from dense urban housing like this, and then it's like a road, and then there's like farmland. So it's not like in America, where there's tons of suburbs and everything, and then it kind of gradually decreases in density as you go further from the city center. It's pretty much like city, road, farmland. And that seemed to be a trend in a lot of parts of Europe. I know when I was in Spain, it was a very similar type of urban development. You just kind of like, we're driving through the countryside, and then all of a sudden it's like, bam, here's a city, here's some industry. And then the city was just right there. So it's not like America, where you drive through, miles and miles of suburbs and then get into like a dense kind of city outskirts. It's just like very much like right there. So I don't think that's very unrealistic to do in this build. And it's kind of nice because you can have a city that has like a definite start and end. I think it's kind of a cool way to approach urban development for a change. So, I don't usually build my cities like that. So it's been nice to kind of have that realistic influence and be able to do that in this build. So, we'll probably have some farmland just around here and all that. So, we'll work on that maybe a little bit later, maybe a little off camera or something. I'm not too worried about that. The priority today is just to get this whole city center built, and we can just, chalk this one up as being pretty much done for now, and we don't have to touch this spot too much later. We can focus on some other areas of the city, like the downtown that I've been talking about for like the past 5 episodes. So, we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. But I've been liking this area, and so let's go ahead and just start building. Let's go and jump into a time lapse. We'll get started with these areas here, and then work our way kind of out and have this all done by the end. So stay tuned and let's get started. All right, guys, welcome to the time lapse. So just a little precursor to what we're going to do. So step 1 is going to be to build this highway, and then we're going to kind of tackle a few things in the city. We're gonna put down some additional city services. We're gonna build a pedestrian area. We're gonna grow some other parts of this little city that we're working with here that still has yet to be named. I have to think about a good name for it. But yeah, this is a very, very dense episode, and this whole build actually took me quite a long time, which is why this episode has been a bit delayed. And plus, it was the 4th of July weekend, which if you guys are not from the States, that is our Independence Day. So lots of fun things. I had a gig that weekend. I had like 3 parties to attend to. So obviously not a lot of time for recording videos and editing, nor did I want to be doing that because it was a beautiful weekend and I wanted to be outside and having fun. And then it was my birthday, and it was just another fun weekend of, many activities, and just it's been a very, very busy summer, and trying to find time to record and edit videos, has been few and far between, and especially these City Skylines videos take a little bit longer to put together. So apologies again for the delay, but I will say that, in the next month or 2, the schedule is probably going to be a bit irregular, which just bear with me here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just I'm still working behind the scenes, but it's just taking a little bit longer than usual because of other commitments that I have going on. Like I have another gig coming up in a month. I'll be gone this weekend again for my graduation party for my girlfriend's little brother. So like just all this type of stuff going on, just crazy, crazy busy lately, but all fun things. So hope you guys are enjoying your summers as well. And it's always good to be back. So what are we doing? Well, like I said, building this highway and kind of trying to connect all of this up together with the existing road network. And so instead of just scrapping the road network and dragging, a highway through, I kind of try to utilize the existing road layout and just kind of add to that. So like here, I added this roundabout and ended up kind of placing down this divided highway that you see on the right side of the screen here, because I kind of like that look. This is something that I've kind of seen on Google Earth. You look at, some of these main roads, these arterial roads, and that's what they look like. They have these divided main roads that kind of go through the different cities. And it's kind of cool because those kind of serve as like the borders sometimes between a more dense area and then like a very much less dense, or even like a rural area. Like I said before, the change from a dense city to a rural area in areas like this, where I'm taking inspiration from, is way more drastic than something we might see, in America or something like that. So having like, a downtown and then a main road and then just farmland is not super uncommon compared to, what we'll see here in the States. So just trying to think about where these roads are going. And this is something that I've been trying to be better about, is making roads that go somewhere. So like, it's very, very easy to just drag out roads and expand your city, and just keep dragging out more roads and expand your city. But you want to make sure that those roads are actually going places, because then you kind of get caught up in this area of like, oh, the city doesn't really have like an end. You feel like you're constantly expanding, but you really don't know where you're expanding to. So kind of like planning out the roads in advance, but thinking about where these roads are going to start and finish really helps to kind of create these, borders of the city, even if they're not built yet. Like, if you get what I'm saying. So like right here, I've been adding in these highway exits and entrances, and just thinking about like, do I want to continue these overpasses? Is this going to be like a 4-way intersection? Is this going to be more of like a T intersection? Like here, I was kind of struggling what to do with this road after the fact, and I think I kind of have an idea now that I've been sitting on it for a little bit. But even so, I don't want to extend the city out too far or extend these main roads out too far, because I don't want the dense part of the city to really cross over this highway here. I want to keep the city kind of where it's at, and then transition into some lower density or some farmland. So with this intersection, I'm doing a few kind of nifty things here. I'm trying to, the space is not really ideal for any of these highway on-ramps. And again, this is me trying to just use the existing infrastructure, because that's what you kind of have to do. It's very, not very common that you see just a complete, rebuild of an area to fit like a highway in. At least nowadays, it's not really the case. They try to, use some of the existing infrastructure. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, trying to fit these highway on-ramps just with the landscape without trying to delete, any buildings and stuff. And it looks a little whack, looks a little different, but it's functional and it works. And so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make another main connection, since I wasn't able to fit an on-ramp on this overpass, the second overpass. So I was trying to find a way to get truck traffic to be able to travel more easily to that overpass that I had just, the entrance and exit to the highway that I had just built. So we want to try to find a way to divert traffic there. And then here, just adding in another roundabout instead of putting like a big, massive four-way junction. I just felt like a roundabout would be more appropriate for this area, since it'll have a little bit less traffic flow. And it turned out all right. The way to build roundabouts there, can't really complain. So now we are actually done with the highway part of the build, and we are going to transition to plopping down some buildings, creating some neighborhoods and things like that. So interesting road network here. Just trying to, do something that looks decent, it's functional. Kind of a weird area to work with, if I'm being honest. But yeah, so you'll see I just put down a clinic there. We do need some more city services in this area. And, fire, police, all of that is all going down over here. Schools, you'll see some more schools in a little bit. And I actually found these, this police station in particular, I found these New Zealand buildings on the workshop that they kind of work for this area. I mean, they're a little bit more modern, but they're kind of like architecturally, they're very similar, I feel, to more of like a modern Eastern European style. So they kind of work for some of these areas. If you could tell that, they're trying to kind of update some of their buildings, some of the architectural styles into a more modern, a more modern style, I guess. Then these buildings actually fit in quite well. And I have some commercial buildings that you'll see me put down that work pretty well too. And yeah, these city service buildings are really, really cool. And I think they work pretty well if you just get over the fact that they're New Zealand style buildings and not, some kind of Soviet or something style like that. So putting down this crematorium, this is super needed, because in this episode, we experience our first major death wave in the city. As you can see, it's already kind of happening, and try to bump up the budget a little bit. Man, it is very bad. That things are going south pretty quickly in this episode, I will say. So we've been focusing a lot on just expansion of the city, and we haven't really been focusing too much on the service side of things and just kind of like the city management aspect. So the death wave is kind of inevitable when you build a city like this. I feel like when you plop down very large population centers, you just have these natural death waves because everybody just moves in at the same time. And I think I do have the population rebalance mod in this build, but even so, you still get a little bit of a death wave, just because, again, like if you build your city in big sections like I've been doing, we put down like a whole city, we put down apartment blocks that house thousands of people, you're gonna get death waves either way. So like that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not surprised by that. But it's the lack of management and accountability from my part that I apologize for. So Yeah, you'll see it gets pretty bad. The population, it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't fall a ton, but like we definitely have some abandonment issues with buildings and a lot of deaths in the city and not enough, crematoriums or cemeteries to handle that. And yeah, there's some things that go on that I need to really spend some time fixing. And I think that might be kind of the goal of the next episode, will be to really focus on some of the service aspects of the city and kind of the management aspects, maybe some public transport, maybe some, or education. There's always a demand for education that I just haven't addressed. And it's crazy, like when you put down these dense population centers, you have to put a lot of schools because there's just a lot of people in a small area. So yeah, I want to talk about this real quick, just making like a cool little, kind of like a drainage ditch type area. I didn't really know what to do with that spot. And then I just kind of put these trees to kind of show that maybe there's a little waterway that goes out to the ocean there. So something a little different, just, keeping some open space. And these buildings, I love this style of building because you can kind of just copy paste, but the hills don't make it easy. This is not easy terrain to work with this style of build. So I'm doing the best I can, but feel free to give me any kind of advice that you have for working on terrain like this when you're trying to build these really big block style houses. I mean, I think they look all right from the distance, but anyway, put down some industry a little bit because we still have quite a bit of demand for that. And here just putting down some different kind of parks and easy detailing, just a couple little pathways, see some trees, all vanilla parks too, which is cool. And I forgot that there's actually some assets from the what is it, the DLC? Is it the Park Life or no, not the Park Life? There's another DLC where it had a bunch of little parks, like soccer fields and little ponds and things that are really, really good to plop down. Gives a nice variety into the selection of parks in this game. So yeah, here just putting down some more block housing. I don't know why they do this weird thing with the terrain. I can't seem to get it to flatten out. So we're just gonna hide it with a path and say forget it. And then here I thought I'd try something a little bit awkward, a little bit different. I'm gonna put down some diagonal roads, and we'll put some apartment buildings on these roads, and this will be a cool little spot to live, kind of broken up by this highway between this and those little industrial buildings over there. And here's, like I was talking about, some of those New Zealand style commercial buildings. I think that they fit in quite well with the style of architecture that we're trying to build with. So we're gonna plop this down and just clean this area up a little bit, and then move on to the next segment of the build. So here is what I've been really looking forward to, is the pedestrian area. So this took quite a while. There's a lot going on here. Something about these roads, the trees never seem to work quite right with these pedestrian area roads. And especially I think it has something to do with maybe like the compatibility with the network skins mod or something, but I can never get the trees to be super evenly spaced. They're always like kind of spaced out in bunches, which is a little bit strange. But anyway, just dragging out some of these roads, thinking about where I want these connections to sit. And I could put a couple more, I think, than I usually would, just because they're not traffic connections, they're pedestrian connections. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, here just putting down some commercial. There's like a supermarket that I found in my asset collection, and a couple of these offices. These are actually like West Coast US inspired offices, so like California style, but I think they still kind of work. They're kind of blocky, kind of plain in that regard. So figured I'd put a couple of those down, and here just trying to put down some parks, because I love the pedestrian area parks. I think that they look really cool, and they bring some cool new assets to the game. So I try to put those down pretty much wherever I can, and yeah, I think they look good. This is kind of, I'm going for a little bit more of a kind of a modern area in some aspects. I feel like this spot, this town obviously comes from an industrial past, so you see in the architecture there's a lot of remnants of kind of the old architectural style that was, has been around, like the block housing, kind of some of the more drab looking buildings, a lot of grays, a lot of, these old red brick buildings. But then you're starting to see kind of little sprinkles of updated style and, you know, a little bit more modern fixtures. So for example, like these parks, they're very modern. That skyscraper, I mean, not quite a skyscraper, but that little high-rise building that I put is a little bit more modern. So we're trying to see, this is kind of a transition period for this city. You know, there's a little bit more of a revival in the city center. So we'll see some more modern fixtures kind of placed around the old architectural styles. And that also is, you know, significant or signified by the pedestrian area as well. So like, you know, you figure these roads that have been here for a long time have been converted into these pedestrian roads. And so this at one point would have been the old road network, but we've since, you know, consolidated these roads to only be pedestrian friendly. And we'll have that tram network running through here as well. So that'll give people plenty of access to this part of the city and to other parts of the city, which is really cool. And so again, it's trying to show that natural kind of a ongoing change in the city, you know, the old meets the new type thing. So I really like how this area turned out. Didn't take me all that long to plop down a lot of these buildings, obviously, but you know, that is just kind of how these places are. Like I say, you know, every time I build anything in this series, just, you know, you zoom out and everything really does look quite similar based on, you know, the city that you're in and the neighborhood that you're in. A lot of the buildings share very similar styles and colors and everything like that. So I don't feel bad about just kind of copy and pasting buildings in this build, because it makes sense. You know, it's kind of what they did. That's how these cities were built. So again, putting down some pathways, simple trees and detailing such. And, you know, I'll detail more kind of off camera later. So you'll see at the end of the build what the final product is. And I don't actually go through and show you guys all of it because, you know, placing down all the trees and stuff took a little bit. And I was like, y'all don't need to see that. So no worries there. But yeah, I actually forgot that it did this too. So this is the last part of the build. And after I put down this massive cemetery complex, which we desperately need, we're actually going to build a little bit of kind of like an education university area. So I figured this whole part of the region here didn't really have access to any higher education. And we're getting to the point in the city, I think, where we need more. There's like a little bit of an office demand, and there's not really a lot of people to fill those job roles in the higher education side of things. So we want to try to get a little bit more higher education going on in the region here. And even in the higher level commercial, you know, the commercial buildings can't level up without those higher educated folks working there. So we're gonna focus on that a little bit. And like I said in the next episode too, with like city services and making sure that we have access to a lot of higher education, it'll really pay dividends for the future, you know, over time and things like that. So yeah, just put down the vanilla university because, you know, why not? It looks fine for what we're trying to do. Putting down this gym that is part of the like, I think it's the stadiums or sports parks DLC or whatever it is. Love that asset. All the assets that come with that, those DLCs are just been fantastic. So, and then I think that was a high school that I actually put down there, which is, you know, interesting, but it kind of serves like a dual purpose. Like it's, you know, an education building, so it's functional, and it also kind of looks good. So I figured, you know, it would fit in well with this area, and as long as it, you know, serves a purpose, I'm very happy with that. So yeah, just you know, detailing this up a little bit. Parks, parking lots, and trees and pathways as always. So you're just kind of creating some like student living with some of these modern buildings. And again, you can see this is one area where we kind of have the old meeting the new here, and this is obviously a newer addition to this area. This is like a new little neighborhood, a new development, and you know, this is kind of signifying the outskirts of the city in the sense that like once we reach that highway, we're going to transition into probably more of a rural setting and everything. But this university was kind of a cool, you know, last minute addition, and I just didn't really know what to do with this area, so I figured that would be a great way to take up some space and build something that actually is needed and again just serves a purpose. So yep, just finishing this out. We have a couple of these 1 unit roads are fantastic. I love these vanilla plus roads. And yeah, speaking of roads though, I've had a few issues. I actually ended up downloading the broken nodes detector because I was having a few issues as I was building a lot of these areas with, like the transit networks were that they'd like break, or people would all of a sudden start driving really, really slowly. Like you could see on the right there. I think that's already kind of at the end of this build. I was getting, I think, some broken node symptoms. So I think it kind of resolved itself though, because I came into another, when I did the trees, I came in and detected if there were any broken nodes and I couldn't find any. So it's just, there's some kind of freak things happening with this save game. And I think it's because we're trying to build the population so quickly and using things like Move It and Anarchy and stuff. You run into these issues where the nodes of all the pathways and the roads don't always work like they're supposed to. But it's something that I'm aware of. And so I'm trying to just kind of keep my eye on that. If I see something weird going on, I'll try to fix it. But also I had some issues where for some reason, like one of the networks would just get unsubscribed. So I'd load into the save and just a whole road would be missing. And I'd be like, what the heck, So trying to keep my eye on that and just, making sure that nothing really breaks too bad in this save game, because I want to, I want the city, like I said, always say, I want the city to be functional. And so in bigger news, we just hit 70,000 population, which is crazy because I feel like I have so much left to do, which is why at this point I want to take a step back and in the next episode or two, really focus on some more of the management parts of the city, because the population is getting quite large. And I think we've definitely overlooked just I always talk about making functional cities, and this one is kind of functional. The buildings are functional, but the city is as a whole, I don't really think it is yet. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. So we're going to spend some time doing that in the next couple of episodes, I think. So lots of exciting things to come, but we are pretty much wrapped up with the time lapse here. Just going to finish up this park with this random statue. And then I will talk to you guys in a live play to wrap up the episode. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys in a minute. All right, and so here is the end result. Put down some trees, put down some extra little detailing aspects and everything, and overall, I am pretty pleased with how that turned out. We have this nice border of the city with these natural highways. I think this may or may not stay like this. We'll see maybe in the future if we decide to do anything with this. But yeah, like I said, I really like the contrast between this old industrial, this big industrial area, and then this office park, and then the city right here. You figure this is a very working class area, a lot of industry workers living here, and it's definitely reflected in these older style of buildings. But then we do have some of these new buildings popping up. We have this cool pedestrian area with these little nice little parks, open areas, very modern, very different, and the university, which is bringing a new life to this area. So I am loving this, like I said. But if we go back to the regular game overview here, you can see the effects of kind of this lack of attention to the management of the city. So we have a lot of abandoned buildings, and this is because I plopped down some high-level commercial when we really didn't need to do that. But yeah, we have some issues with the certain industries not having enough places to sell goods, which is interesting because commercial demand isn't super high. So either way, we probably got to put down some more commercial. We got to figure out maybe some better rail infrastructure. We got to figure out, this always needs some more metals. I think our metals industry is really slacking, and it's all the way over here too. So we don't even have a rail a cargo station in this area. So the only way to transport these metals is by truck, and that just takes forever. Look at the distance. They have to go all the way over here to be able to actually reach this area. So having some kind of rail network in the future is going to be really, really important. Plus, like this highway is just, oh my goodness, that's just horrendous. So we're going to have to do a little bit of work, I think, to try to get things a little bit more connected. And this part too, like this city, we actually had one of those weird issues that I was talking to you guys about. the time lapse where like this whole road was just gone one time when I loaded the game, and I didn't realize it because I was working, you know, all the way over here. And yeah, you could see it that just all of the bus lines broke, and these houses had no access to, you know, city services in any way because there was just no road here. So I got to replace these, find, you know, something better to do. And honestly, like, I might even just rebuild this area a little bit too, because this is before I downloaded a lot of those cool, really nice custom assets. So yeah, even these over here, not looking great, but whatever. We'll figure that out at a later time. But yeah, with that being said, just about to wrap up here. And yeah, so the next couple episodes going to be pretty management based, I think. And something else I've been thinking about is City Skylines 2. So if you guys have stuck around to the end of the episode, thank you, first off. And second, they released a surprise detailing patch for the game in addition to the new economy update. So since I have not picked up City Skylines 2 in probably 2 months, I would say. I mean, I haven't even, oh no, we got someone on fire over here, but yeah, let's watch the fire department do some work. But yeah, I haven't even touched the game in a long time, and so much has happened with it since I've last played it. So I think now would be maybe a good time to kind of just jump in a little bit, maybe try something different. And again, I'm not giving up on City Skylines 1. I'm not just making the switch. I think my plan now, oh, another building on fire over here. Geez, fire department's working overtime. But yeah, I think my plan is to finish this series, still do another City Skylines series because you guys seem to be pretty keen to have another one, and I would like to do another one. I love this game. There's still some things that I want to do with this game, considering that it still has the ability to use custom assets, which City Skylines 2 does not have yet. And honestly, I don't even know if I want to get into mods with City Skylines 2 yet. I just don't really know the game enough to even play with mods yet. I would like to just do, you know, kind of a nice series intro to the game. Here's how everything works. Let's see how the game actually functions, and let's just build, you know, a really big city and just kind of test the limits of the game, you know, after this economy update, and even see if like it's actually worth continuing, which maybe now it is. You know, I know it got a lot of slack in the initial release in the months, you know, after that, but now I think there's been quite a lot of good things happening, and people are a little bit, you know, I'm definitely more interested to actually get back in the game and give it a shot. In the detailing patch, they added in a lot of new buildings, like some smaller buildings, some smaller service buildings, which was a really big surprise. And that coupled with the economy update, I think the game has a little bit of a fresh outlook, and I really want to give it a shot. So you might see a new series pop up sometime in the near future if I get the time to start making one, which is not easy to come by now, as I've said. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys are enjoying the series as much as I am. And look at this, almost 75,000 people. I didn't even plop down a single building when I was doing this, placing down all these trees and these details, and the population has grown like by 3,000 people already. And the death wave seems to kind of it's kind of passed, except for over here. But I think there's just not a lot of, I don't think there's anything here. There's just this cemetery that's emptying. Yeah, I'll probably have to place down a crematorium or something. We'll come back to this area a little bit later. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next episode, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your week. And yeah, enjoy the summer. So thank you guys again, and I will talk to you later. See ya.